Hi guys, it's Rolf from Tesla Owners US, and I visited Mike a while ago, and there is still some footage what I don't want to take away from you. We had a good talk, and Mike is a real petrol head, and he turned electric. And doing this minutes, and I have to bring that in two parts because we probably talked about more than an hour of good material of electric cars and why you turn from gasoline cars to electric cars, and I would like to show that to you. And here comes part one.
I pressed insane. I went insane.
All their stainless steel security screws I polished up so nobody can take your license plate.
Ah.
I did that on my Mustang too because I have a special plate on there.
So that nobody can steal it.
Yeah. Plus it looks pretty cool.
You need to get those California license plates now. They are digital.
They're redoing the black plates.
Yes.
Yep. So this is Arizona's a model year registration state, which means if you can find an original license plate that would have been on your car the year it was first made, you can use that plate if it's not being used. So on my Mustang I have an original 1967 plate.
Oh, really?
Yep. And it's actually so I went on eBay and bought the plates and went to the DMV and registered it. So this is the original plate that was used in 1967. There's actually a 66 plate, and in 67 you got a green sticker, you can see behind there, and then in 68 you got a yellow sticker, and in 69 you got a whole new license plate that was stamped 69. So
yeah.
I used this plate for a few years up until 2010. Then I had the plate remade so it was nice and black and white like it's supposed to be. And I ran
was
this
it
one.
Was it black and white at that time?
It's supposed to be black and white. It's yellow because it just faded over 50 years. This is an original plate. So then I used this one for a while until 2017, and then I got another one remade that said 67 instead of 66 because it just works better. And now that's what's on the car. So this is called a model year registration. So
wow.
if you can find them, you can use them. So that's why I got the security screws on there.
Someone is gonna be really interested in your Mustang. I tell you that. Yeah, my friend definitely, because and a friend of him as well, because he is in old cars, 30 years old.
Well, this I'll show you this.
Back in town to bring it over.
Ah, here is
A couple years worth of car
all
shows
of your
right here.
trophies.
You have a whole wall full of trophies.
That's the best part of those trophies.
Good guys, award winners, best cars.
You like the
best
cow
shows.
here, right?
Yeah,
Let me get close to the cow.
Lisa likes that one because that was a car show
place.
in Levine, Arizona, and it's like cow country, so they put a cow on the trophy. That was best of show.
Here's another cow.
That was Ladies' Choice, and this was best engine.
Best engine, ladies' choice. Oh yeah.
The ladies like the Mustangs.
Well, depends on what car show you go see.
Even Severed in the Southwest, which is like a lowrider type of
That's where we won the cash.
custom car place. They
And
don't
that
really-
is a cash prize?
Yeah, they don't really do muscle cars, but they liked my car so much they got first place, and I also got best car award. So, and that was
Wow.
a cash prize. So we went to the mall and she bought stuff with the cash prize money.
All right.
And Santa Chevrolet first place in a Mustang. So yeah, the car shows well. Everybody seems to like it.
All right. Yeah, that cylinder looks funny. Yeah, or that.
Cylinder head award.
Yeah.
Here's an old school gas pump.
And now we have the chargers.
Yep.
Change the gas to electric and we're good to go. That's no
Okay.
problem.
So now let's talk about your trip. We're gonna take a seat here and talk
Oh,
about
yeah,
your trip.
sure. Let me see if there's anything else.
Okay, now we
Always
talk
leaking.
about all of that. What you had a bike as well. Because
Yeah.
I had a bike as well.
Yeah, this is a 1958.
Yeah.
I sold it for oh sorry.
That's okay. There's one over here. I could take that one.
So that's a 1958 Harley Davidson Panhead, which is my favorite looking engine of all time.
Yeah.
And it also was the first Harley to have a rear swing arm suspension, so you don't break your back.
Yeah.
So I found that in California after about a year of looking. I took it all apart, rebuilt everything. It was all fully polished. Really, really nice bike. Drove it all over the place, but I'm not really a biker, so We ended up, it just would not stop leaking. The thing was just made to leak. You know, there's an atmospheric vent for the transmission and the oil crankcase, so whenever, as soon as you turn it off, it just... So like, I didn't like leaks, so eventually after 10 years, I
So you sold it, and you sold it for an electric car?
Sold it, yep, sold it, and started saving up for our electric cars. And
Yeah.
you know, now we have the Tesla Model 3, and we're waiting for the next one to come out, maybe the Model Y.
Oh yeah, then someone is driving an SUV.
Maybe, I mean, I thought I wouldn't like the trunk, but the trunk's actually, I mean, it's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep. The only thing you can't get is like really bulky things, and like I've rented the truck. I rent the truck at Home Depot to take bulky things home anyway.
Yeah.
But the trunk is nice, and I like the shape of that. So if the SUV is too boxy looking, I'll probably just get another 3. But then Elon also rumored about the possibility. He said it's going to be perfectly feasible in the next few years to make a $25,000 Tesla, which would be like a compact.
Compact version.
And that would be interesting.
That's for my back.
Another one.
Yep.
Thank you.
No, I don't get one.
Think you got one right there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So that might be kind of an interesting car, because the neat thing about the Spark being real small is we go downtown sometimes and you can park that anywhere. You just zip around and you can
Comic-Con?
park it, yeah.
yeah.
This, even though the Model 3 is considered smaller than the Model S, it's still a pretty big car.
So now tell me, how many miles you have on it now?
So we picked it up late April.
Yeah.
And what is it, April, May, June, July, August,
September.
beginning of September.
You can even look on your app how many miles you have.
Yeah, we have almost 12,000, 11,000 something.
Yeah.
And 6,000 of that is my road trip to Virginia. So we picked it up in late April,
Yeah.
and 3 weeks later I drove it to Virginia.
So you picked it up from Tempe here.
Tempe Service Center
Tempe
took delivery of
Service
it.
Center.
Yep.
Have they been nice to you?
They were cool. Actually, we had a friend of ours who had his Model 3 already, and we said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you took us down to Tempe in your Model 3 to pick up our Model 3? Because we wanted to ride over there. He said,
you
sure.
mean Joe?
Yeah,
You know Joe.
but he was running kind of
Brian's
late.
friend?
Huh?
You know Joe, Brian's friend?
Yeah, could be, but
Always has his mom with him.
yeah.
But
Okay.
anyway, so he was running a little bit
We have to
late.
cut that
So,
out.
Yeah.
so we got there a little bit late, and so by the time we were taking deliveries, at that point in time they were doing group deliveries.
Yes.
Got pictures.
So you had a couple of, I mean, get that camera even closer.
Yeah, so they were doing group deliveries, and we missed the group delivery seminar, if you will. So they were all out there looking at their cars, and we walked up and said, hey, we're here to get our car. So we actually got a one-on-one delivery with one of the delivery specialists and got to ask him all the questions and everything.
So the group deliveries, they're called 20 people and explain the car and everything. And
Yeah,
then,
there's probably 10 people, but yeah, they have a group of people.
you know, this is a good idea actually. If people agreeing to a group delivery, then you order them all for 10 o'clock. Then you get 30 people. This is how the car works, right? And then said, here's the papers, here's your car, bye.
That's
There
basically what
was-
they did, yeah. And I've been studying the car for the last year and a half, so.
I think there was 6 cars. We were here. Our car was parked here, and all the rest were over there by the Chargers. But we were the only black one.
And we were in the shade too, so we were like, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's nice.
There was a blue one, a silver one, a red one.
And they were doing our paperwork, and we were just standing out there looking at the car, and I'm like, well, let me see if the app works. So I logged into the app, and boom, it was on. So we opened it up and got in and started playing around with it. And I rented yours. You know, we were the first people to rent your Model 3.
Yeah, you were the first one renting my Model 3.
So I already knew all about the Model 3, so I just needed to get the keys and go, basically, you know, pay for it and leave. So, but I had a couple questions, and so we asked the questions, and he didn't have too many answers, so I went and looked stuff up. But
So, how was the consumption when you drove to Virginia?
it was pretty good. I sort of judged it by either a positive or a deficit on my range to actual miles. So sometimes, depending on the weather and the elevations, after driving, let's say 150 miles, I would have used 160 or 170 range miles, so I would have a deficit of like 20 miles
Yeah.
for that span of driving. And other times when it was flat and I was just cruising 75 on the freeway, I would have a surplus. I would drive 150 miles and I only use like 140 miles of range. So I'd have a 10-mile surplus, which means I was getting really good.
That's
Good-
good
good range.
good mileage, yeah.
But I'm used to the Leaf being, miles per kilowatt, and the Model S does, or sorry, the Tesla does kilowatts per mile.
Yeah.
So I kind of figured out that 250 kilowatts per mile is 4 miles per kilowatt,
Yeah.
which will get you really close to your 300-mile target range.
Yeah.
So when you're driving around, you keep it at 250 or less, and you get really good range.
Yes.
And if you're going above 250, then your range goes down a little bit. So I average about 220, I guess. Normal driving. High-spirited
So
driving.
you drove through the country.
250.
Did you have to wait for a charger?
So there's a variety of different strategies you can use to charge. When you just let Tesla route you through your route,
Which I never do.
they show you the route and you see all your chargers, and they're like, good, you can drive for like 5 hours and then charge here for an hour, and then drive another 5 hours. I'm like, no, I'm going to stop like every hour and a half to take a break. So I look at the route and then I go, where's the next charger? The next charger is 100 miles away. That's where I'm going. So I drive to the next charger and I charge enough to get to the next charger with about 20% battery, which is 60 miles.
Yeah.
And that takes about 10 minutes to charge. So it literally is enough time to go to the bathroom, stretch, and get back in the car and you're going. So 10-minute charges.
That's basically what I do.
That's what
as
you do.
well.
So yes.
Sometimes I stay a little bit longer
Yeah.
because I want to eat something, or I want to drink a coffee, or I talk to them, or I just lost time. And I said, oops, I have more miles where I wanted, but it doesn't matter. Then
Yeah,
I
because
keep
I
going.
like to keep it on the low end because it charges faster.
Yes.
Because when we're at 20% battery and we plug in, I'm getting like 117, 119 kilowatts. And 10 minutes
And
later,
that's
I'm only
a
down,
lot.
only
That's a
down to
lot.
like
These
90.
are 450 miles.
Yeah,
These are
400.
450 miles
Yeah.
when you charge with 115 kilowatts.
I've gotten almost like 470 miles or something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, your 10 minutes, you're still charging at over 90 kilowatts. So with the Model 3, you're paying for charging. So Tier 2 is a more expensive price, so you might as well get the full charge. you
Yes.
know? So I'm like, if I could be in and out of there in 10 minutes, it's better for my trip. It's better for everything. So my first trip out there, I decided I'm going to see if I can get out there in 3 days. And that's 2,360 miles.
And did you make it?
800 miles a day, I got there in 3 days.
Oh, 800 miles. I'm not driving 800 miles.
No, not
I'm driving
me either.
650 was the most.
At the 600 mile point, it was like it was dinner time, like 6, 7 o'clock. Well, yeah, I could end right now. And I'm like, I got 200 miles to go. So I wanted to make sure that I wanted to satisfy my curiosity on is there any problems with the gas car versus electric car?
Yes.
And I don't care if you're in a gas car, you're not getting across the country in less than 3 days either. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yep. So I'm like, this car is every bit as efficient on road trips as a gas car.
And then
would
you
be.
stayed at the destination charger or anywhere?
I didn't use destination chargers. I just went with superchargers and stayed with a hotel around the superchargers. And I didn't pre-plan it, so I didn't have reservations anywhere. So
Yeah.
when I was at my final destination, I would charge up and I'd look around for a hotel. A lot of times they're with like the Holiday Inn Express or something like that. So I'd go to whatever hotels nearby and get a room, and up the next day and off I go. So I just stuck with the superchargers only, which worked fine for me because that's why I bought this car, was the supercharging network.
Yeah.
So on the way back, I met up with a friend of mine, Brian, who also has a Model S Tesla. He was visiting his mom in New Jersey, and we decided to drive back together. So he met me over at Skyline Drive, right by Luray Caverns, and we started there at the Chargers, and we just drove across. It took about a week. And we went to Skyline Drive. We went to the top of Mount Evans. We drove all the way up there, which is 14,000 something feet. So I think that's the highest elevation that you can go in a car.
Electric cars don't care about elevation. Gas cars would care about
They don't
elevation.
care, yeah. It was a great drive up there. We got out of the car and I almost passed out because the air is so thin up there.
Yeah.
We weren't ready for it, and I was like breathing hard because we're all excited to be up there and running around. We took a bunch of pictures, and we backed both of our cars up to the Mount Evans sign. And these little kids came by and they're like, "Dad, look, a Tesla, that's a Tesla." And I said, "It's 2 Teslas at the top of Mount Evans." They're like, "Wow, 2 Teslas." They were all excited.
The young kids, they all know it. They all know the
kids,
cars.
they know, yeah. We go to the car shows, and a lot of kids go, "Hey, look, that's a Tesla." I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah.
Parents, sometimes they know enough, but the kids do.
There's now Abstract Ocean does the Tesla letters also.
Yeah.
If you want to have Tesla letters, you can remove the Tesla sign and put Tesla letters on it.
I'm all about being stealth. I like
Yeah.
just the T. If I would have thought about it, I wouldn't have put the T back on the front. I would have just had the T only, because when I did the Mustang, I took all the badges off. There's nothing on there.
Yeah.
And this, I like just the T. It looks good to me. That's how I like it. So yeah, so the trip back was a lot of fun. We stopped and did some sightseeing and took our time and took all the back roads and everything just to have some fun.
So now, finally, in comparison to the Chevy Spark or to the Leaf,
to the
now you are free to leave around the country.
yeah, going
right?
from Leaf to Model 3 is like EV freedom. We planned one road trip on the Leaf to go to Tucson, and we didn't even make it. We went to Tucson about 3 months earlier in the Mustang for a car show, and we stopped at all the Chadmos and we checked them out and they all worked, and we said, okay, we're good to go. So 3 months later, we went in the Leaf, went to the first Chadmo, it was good, went to the second Chadmo, it was good, and then we got to the third Chadmo, it was out of order. So whoever was sponsoring it or was paying for it.
Was it the one on Picacho Peak?
Yes.
Yeah, they left.
Oh,
and
I
there's
know that.
nobody to call, and we were
I
stuck
know
there.
that guy.
And I'm like,
The owner of that place there, you know, that restaurant or whatever that is, he didn't have no idea. He said not his, or he doesn't sponsor it or anything. He just gave us a phone number, and it was for not Blink, but EVgo, who no longer sponsored it either.
Yes.
So we called a number, and they were like, "That's not our charger." Oh, it was ChargePoint, and they were like, "That's not our charger anymore." And we're like, "Okay," but we didn't check the level 2s to see if they work.
You know, next time I give you the phone number of that guy.
well, the charger
Put
didn't
the
work
charger.
anyway. There's
So you had to return, yeah?
yeah,
we
so
had
we
to
just
go
went back.
We had to go back to
The
Casa
previous
Grande.
one,
Casa
Casa
Grande.
Grande.
and we didn't make it.
Which was actually pretty funny because on the way up,
It was
we were getting really close to empty it to get to Casa Grande, and we were
on Turtle.
on
was
Turtle,
like going
and we
so
were literally
slow.
at the
We
off
were
ramp,
on the ramp.
and we couldn't get over the off ramp. We died right there.
Died. We were like the second, so the first car, and then we were like the second car.
All we had to do was get
And we just needed
around the
someone
corner.
to just
We could have coasted into the charger.
push us. All we needed was.
Posted into the town and
But we
then
didn't
could have
make
went
it.
right in. Instead, we sat there and people were behind us beeping their horn, and we're like, "Yeah, go." And then he called to have us towed, and then someone called the cops, so that the sheriff was right behind us going, "What's wrong? What's the matter? What's the matter? You guys can't be here. You can't be here." We're
I
like-
have my tow
and
hook.
the tow
and he
truck
towed
was
us.
turning around to try to get us, and he saw the sheriff, and then the deputy was like, "Well, you can't be here. You can't be here." So he towed us over to the charger.
you know that I would never have to have that happen with a Tesla. I
so-
never had it. I never had a
It
real
was
Tesla.
So our first road trip in an electric car in a Leaf was a disaster.
was a failure.
So then when we got the Model 3, we just were laughing so hard because we charged it up to 300 miles. We're like, holy crap,
We went
300
to
miles.
Bisbee.
What are we going
went
to do
to
now?
Prescott.
Well, where we want to go?
Yeah, we're going to
The whole
Tucson.
country is
Now
open.
we can go wherever. We went to Pasadena.
We went to Bisbee was our first trip.
Yeah,
And
Bisbee,
we went
that
there
was
no
fun.
problem. It was
And then you
nice.
said something. You calculated the charging is they're charging differently.
Yes.
Sometimes by time
Yeah,
and
it
sometimes
depends
by
on the state. I
kilowatts.
made a list.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in some states they charge by kilowatt that are allowed to sell power. Some states that can't sell power, they charge by time. So more
Yeah.
states charge by time than charge by kilowatt. Probably about 70-30, something like that.
Yeah.
So on a Model 3, since you're paying for supercharging, if they're charging by kilowatt,
Well,
it's okay because you can charge anywhere and you're going to pay whatever you get. Charging by time, you always want to make sure you're charging as fast as you can and be quickly on and off.
You know what? This is not so bad because that keeps the chargers free.
I don't mind. I mean, it
Right.
cost
So-
me $70 to go from Fairfax to Phoenix, Virginia. $70 in power.
$70.
$70,
That's it.
which would have been
Oh.
several hundred in a gas car.
Yes.
And I had no problems finding, as opposed to the Chadmos, every single supercharger I went to, they all worked. And I only ran into 2 or 3 other cars in those chargers. They were all basically empty.
Wookie,
That's Wookie.
Hey.
He's our shop cat.
Wookie,
That's the shop
get
cat.
over here.
Come here, Wookie. He can get a little
to the other
fussy
side.
sometimes.
He can be
Come
here.
on.
She's scratching.
Watch
No,
him, Miss Claus.
but he's
He can be a snot.
sometimes he's a little bipolar.
But he likes you, or he would have scratched you already.
Yeah, but so all the chargers were nice and they weren't really full. And I thought this is pretty cool. Most of them were like maybe 6 or 8. I ran into some 10 or 12s, you know, a stall.
But you didn't have to wait. So the
waiting.
whole trip you didn't wait
Never
anywhere.
had to wait
Only
until
when
we
we
came
got
back, and a few weeks later we went to Pasadena, California.
Oh,
That's a whole other story.
Cab-
Welcome to California.
Cabazon,
Everywhere we
or
went,
wherever that one is.
Cabazon.
Cabazon.
Everywhere we went, the chargers were full.
So,
It was like,
those
you
were
gotta
always
be
What
full.
careful.
Cabazon has 16 chargers?
But
in
they're all
Cabazon.
full.
Model S
Always
is in every
full.
single one of them, and Model S is waiting.
Yep.
We were laughing. We were like, we didn't really need to charge.
So we stopped there. We were like, yeah, we don't need to stop. So we just went to the bathroom and carried on.
But you can go to Indio.
Yeah, we went
Yeah,
to
we
Indio
went to
too.
Indio,
Even
yeah.
those are always about half full, so you're always worried about having to split a charger with somebody. Everywhere we went in California was crowded.
Other
and packed. It was
than
ridiculous.
the Americana Grande, where we stayed.
Oh yeah. So
Have you been at the
Pasadena?
Cattleman Supercharger? The-
No,
the-
we haven't been
go
that far
that
up
way.
north yet.
Ah,
We're
okay.
gonna go there. But what was it called? What you said?
the Americana Grande.
Americana Grande is in
It has
Pasadena.
the chargers. That's where we saw the performance model.
They set up, I think there's 16 or 18 urban chargers,
They're up on
72
the
kilowatt ones,
very top of
Yeah.
the
parking
parking
structure,
Yeah.
and right across the street from our hotel. So we went over there and charged up,
Yep,
and it was
no
like
problem.
having
It
your own
was
personal
decently
charger.
priced. It wasn't
Yep.
too bad.
Yeah, on average,
For
when I
California.
charged did my little 10-minute charge, I got about 120 miles, and it cost about $2 or $3. So it's pretty cool.
Wasn't bad for California.
pretty good.
I thought it'd be
Yeah.
more, but it
For
wasn't.
California,
Yeah.
where
But-
you have to pay $4 per gallon of gas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were laughing at that.
We took a picture.
That charger in Tucson, though, we saw, what was that little one? The difference in the price from the supercharger and the urban charger?
Oh, the way how fast they charge.
And
Yeah.
the difference in the price.
Is there a difference in the price
The
also for the
72
urban
kilowatt
charger?
was a lot more than the supercharger.
Yeah, because you're paying
By
the,
time,
the
right?
way the time works. It has a tier 1 and a tier 2. So
Yeah.
tier 1 is the less expensive, and you're paying tier 1 up to 60 kilowatts. Anything over 60 kilowatts, you go to tier 2, which is twice as expensive. So on an urban charger that charges at a flat 72, you're paying tier 2 prices, which is twice as much for 72 because you're just over 60 kilowatts by 12 kilowatts. So you're paying twice as
So
much
we
for
made that
not
mistake.
that much more.
So on the way to Tucson, we stopped at the Rita Road ones, or that was Bisbee,
You,
and
you
then
know
on the way
what
back.
what you should have done? Try to reduce the charge.
You can't. So you can't
You
reduce
cannot
it.
reduce it. You can because
Only
you
on your
can,
AC charging.
on
can
the
you
AC
control
you
it,
can
yeah.
reduce it, but on DC you cannot reduce it.
Yeah,
I would put it.
supercharging, you get what you get. But if you go there and you're high enough in your state of charging your battery, it'll reduce the charge automatically like that.
Yeah.
So if it's below 60 kilowatts, then you pay a tier 1 rate. But if you need the charge, you need the charge, and then still, I mean, it's still less than the price of gas.
Okay, for the people to understand it, it is when you're over 60 kilowatt charging, then you pay tier 2 rate, right?
You pay twice as much for your
Twice
charging.
as much
yeah.
for charging by time, in most of the states. And then if you are under 60 kilowatt, then you pay tier 1 rate.
It's less. It's half as expensive.
It's half
yeah.
half of the expense.
Yep.
Half of that expensive. Yeah.
But the only time we've ever used superchargers is when we're traveling. Otherwise, we charge at home, and that only costs us pennies. I mean, it's like $2 maybe for the whole thing, or maybe 50 cents to charge the car.
So and for here at night, are you having when you charge at night? Are you charging over 11 o'clock at night to 5
Yeah,
o'clock
we
in the
have
morning?
peak demand. So
Yes.
between 8 p.m. and 12 the next day is all off peak. So it's
No,
4 cents a
3.
kilowatt hour. Yeah.
3 o'clock is switched to
3
3.
o'clock, oh, yeah,
It's
3.
from 8 to 3 p.m. now. 8 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Is it
It's
SRP
off-peak.
or is it
APS.
APS?
Yeah.
And they do have an EV charge plan, and we called about that because it gives you several different tiered rates.
Yeah.
And we calculated out that that's not going to save us any money at all, because we charge our off-peak, which is just as cheap as their super EV off-peak. And it gives us the ability to charge at a wider time frame between 8 p.m. and 12 the next day.
3. It's 3 now.
3.
3 now even?
Yes,
3? Oh,
8 to
3.
3.
8 to
It
3.
was
I keep
12.
forgetting that,
It
yeah.
was
It was
7 to
12.
12, and now it's 8 to 3 off peak.
Oh, okay.
So you have more off peak time and not as much on peak time.
So
We
from
always
3
charge
p.m.
off
to 8
peak
p.m. is on peak. We don't charge the cars. We don't use the washer and dryer. We don't use
We don't
stuff
do
like that.
any
Not
of that.
anything of
Yeah,
that.
you keep all your high load 240 devices off, and your electric bill goes way down. And you charge off peak when you can
So
use
that
all
was
that
part
power.
1, and I will also show part 2 a little bit later, because it's just otherwise it would be over an hour. We have a look a little bit in his shop as well.
I pressed and say